Okay, so here's my code for my class or coding project for week 4. I'll just kind of try to quickly run through the problems. This first one, we created a array of ints called ages, and then we printed out the list of elements. This one we were finding finding the average of the array of ages. I used the int sum equals 0 as like a bucket to catch the numbers going through it, to add them all together. I duplicated the same array, added an extra integer into it to make sure that it worked for both arrays, and then created a string array called names, and then made an enhanced for loop. So for each name within names, I printed out the name. And actually, I'm sorry, didn't come up here. This is the first ages. It shows the average. This is showing the length of each string in my string array called names. Down here, this prints out each line, so you can see right here it's printing out each string within the string array of names. So for that, I used a string builder called SB, and basically said we're going to start counting at index 0. We're going to start at index 0. We're going to count each name, so like count by ones basically, and then go the length of the array of names. And then as long as we're not at the end of the array of names, that's what this -1 is for, is because you can actually just say, like, array index, the last index, you say the length of the array -1. So as long as we're not at the end, we're going to append. That's the code for the string builder, so we're going to basically add whatever that name is to the string builder with a comma. If we do get to the end, that's what my else is for. If we do get to the end, then we're just going to append the name at that index. So that's why I'm able to get a comma at the end of each name, and there's no comma at the end of Bob. So then let's see here, come down here. So I had to create basically like merge my string array of names with my or with a new array that was basically equal to the length of each name, but it was like an int array called names length. And in order to do that, I had to take the index in names, or I'm sorry, index 0 in names, and correlate it with index 0 of names length array. And in doing that, I was able to print out each the length of each name. And then I created my bucket, which was x equals 0. And then I'm basically saying we're going to start at index 0. We're going to keep counting up by ones. And we're going to go the length of the names, my new int array names length. And we're going to add whatever number comes into 0 plus the next index right there. And then we printed out X, which at the end of my for loop, if you consider it like, the bucket analogy, at the end it would be full. So that's why we print out X, because that would have the sum of all the numbers in it, which is 23. And then if we come down here, these are the methods I had to create. This one is we concatenate a word, whatever the int number of times is, which is right here. So multiply word, it takes a string called word and an int called n, created a string builder, made a for loop, and then basically appended whatever the word is to my string builder. And as you can see, it prints out candy 3 times. And then the next one, I had to make a name that had 2 different names in it, and then concatenate them together with a space in between them to make a full name, which is right here. So it takes 2 strings, a first name and a last name. We have a string builder. We're appending last name, whatever name comes through last name with a space to name, which is the string builder, and then we're returning that to the console. And here is Rachel Payne. If we go back up here, you can see I threw in 2 different strings, Rachel and Payne. And then we had to add numbers together. Let's see here, add the numbers. We come back down here again. We're basically returning true if the sum of all the numbers in the array is greater than 100. So for this, I just used my ages array that was up at the top. So here's my, well, it's a Boolean because it returns true or false, and it takes in my int array of ages. So here's my bucket, sum equals 0. We're iterating through the array with for loop, and we're taking whatever, we're taking our sum, which is 0, and adding it to each index of the array, and then we're returning whether sum is greater than 100, which, as you can see right here, it is greater than 100. And this I was able to test back and forth. If I change some of the numbers around, it would come back as false. So then if we come over here, we're finding the average between 2 double arrays, and I decided to do temperatures because that it just came to mind. So I just basically made 7 different elements to each array of double, and then right here is my greater average temperature. It takes 2 double arrays. So I have 2 different buckets, sum which is equal to 0.0 and sum 2 which is equal to 0.0. And I'm basically saying for each temperature that's in the first array, we're going to take the sum and divide our sum plus the temp, our sum plus the temp divided by the length of the array, and the same thing for the second array, and then basically saying return if return if the first sum is greater than sum 2. It's like confusing, but if we go here, let's see here, 1 2 3, so this would be the 4th one. 1 2 3. So here we have false because hold on a minute. Oh, so yeah, it's basically saying sum is not greater than sum 2. I might have done that one wrong. But I still got the answer that I told the computer to give me. So then the next one is finding out if it's hot enough and if we have enough money to buy a drink. So this one was like a pain in the butt, but my method takes a Boolean, and then it takes a double. And coming back down here, here's my method. It takes a Boolean and a double, and my Boolean starts off with false. My condition is if it is hot outside, which is, I basically said if it's over a certain temperature, and if we have more than this much money in our pocket, then the Boolean will turn to true, and we're going to return whatever that is. And so I made my Boolean up here that's going to get passed through the method. The temperature outside is 80, which is greater than 70, as you can see right here. If the temperature is greater than 70, it is true that it's hot outside. And we have more than 1050. So the answer is true. We do have enough money, and it is hot enough to buy a drink. And then the last one that I did was if we have enough money for groceries. This is kind of similar to the one up there. I don't actually need this array, but just for the heck of it, I made it. But it lines up with whatever prices I want to put down here. And then my paycheck is my double. And my method takes in my double and then the double array. So down here, I have my Boolean starts off as true. Do we have enough money? Here's my bucket. And then we're going to iterate through the length of my double array, which is prices. And we're going to take the sum of each one of those numbers. And if the sum is greater than my paycheck or the money in, then the Boolean turns to false. And then we return what it is. And up here I have my paycheck is 50. This is obviously less than 50, so it returns as, it returns as true.